The action kicks off with a high-energy scene featuring a group of armored heroes, the flaming Sentai Volcanger, in the midst of a dynamic transformation sequence. Their suits shimmer with power as they shout, "Flame change!" and the text, "Flaming Sentai Volcanger," amplifies the intensity. Below, a young man, identified as Yuugo, is caught in a moment of sheer excitement. His eyes wide, a thrilled grin spreads across his face as he clenches his fist in exhilaration, exclaiming, "Finally! It's the final form! Volca Red!" His casual attire and the mundane backdrop of a town contrast vividly with the fantastical scene on the TV, highlighting his passion for the show. This panel sequence opens with a domestic morning setting, where a young woman, alert and concerned, reminds someone off-panel about their plans, noting the time as 9:42 a.m. The urgency escalates as Yuugo realizes he's late, blurting out, "I'm off," while dashing out. The outdoor shots depict a typical suburban morning with Yuugo hurrying down the street. He introduces himself as Yuugo, describing himself as a regular high school student that you can find anywhere, yet hints at something unique about himself in a reflective moment. The natural light and ordinary settings serve to ground the fantastical elements introduced earlier, blending the everyday with the extraordinary seamlessly in Yuugo's life. In this panel, we see Yuugo's unabashed enthusiasm as he marvels at a movie poster featuring his beloved heroes. His excitement bubbles over with a loud "woo" as he exclaims, "The poster for the next movie is out!" We get a glimpse into Yuugo's world of fandom, where he declares, "It would be that I'm a hero otaku." The middle panel showcases his admiration for various hero archetypes, multicolored warriors, pretty transforming girls, and a masked knight. He confesses, "I love them a lot," revealing his deep passion for all things hero-related. The scene is set against a busy urban backdrop, juxtaposing his fantasy world with the hustle of everyday life, capturing a slice of Yuugo's life where the fantastical and the real collide. Here, Yuugo interacts with his community, showcasing his inspiration drawn from heroes. While assisting an elderly woman with her heavy bag, he reflects on his aspirations influenced by his hero worship. He states, "I gradually started yearning to become someone that helps others, just like them," highlighting his desire to embody the virtues of the heroes he adores. He dreams of being a police officer or firefighter, emphasizing his commitment to helping those in need, regardless of lacking any superpowers or special abilities. The panels show Yuugo engaging in daily heroics, underscoring his journey of personal growth and his determination to make a difference in the real world, mirroring the fictional heroes he idolizes. The excitement continues as Yuugo scores the latest issue of his favorite series, featuring a limited edition Volca Red vinyl figure. His joy is palpable as he eagerly shares his new find with his mother, saying, "Look, look, it's Volca Red!" His eyes sparkle with delight in the store, surrounded by shelves packed with similar treasures, indicating his deep passion for hero collectibles. The urban landscape outside, filled with modern buildings and bustling activity, contrasts with the personal victory he experiences inside the shop, marking a special moment of personal joy amidst the ordinary. This panel takes a sudden and intense turn as Yuugo, inspired by his heroes, embarks on physical training, determined to build his strength. The excitement shifts to high stakes when he encounters a dangerous situation, a threatening figure with a knife. As chairs scatter and a bystander screams in terror, Yuugo's face is marked by resolve and fear, signaling the reality of the danger he faces. This moment is pivotal, illustrating his transition from admiring fictional heroes to facing real-life threats, encapsulating the harsh reality of his aspirations. The tension reaches a fever pitch as a child stumbles upon a violent scene, witnessing a hooded assailant threatening harm. The child's face, filled with fear and shock, contrasts starkly with the menacing figure who declares his indifference and willingness to harm everyone present. The action is fast-paced, with dynamic lines and sharp angles emphasizing the suddenness and danger of the situation, heightening the emotional impact and the imminent threat posed by the assailant. In a moment of heroism, Yuugo races into action to protect the child from the hooded attacker. His expression is a mix of determination and fear as he confronts the reality of the threat head-on. The panels capture Yuugo's sprint and the attacker's malicious intent, with the dialogue emphasizing the urgency and peril of the situation. This sequence vividly illustrates Yuugo's transition from fictional hero worship to real-world action, portraying his courage and the stakes of his intervention in a life-threatening scenario. The climax intensifies as Yuugo throws himself into action, shielding the child from the assailant. His protective instinct fully engaged, Yuugo reaches out to intercept the attacker, putting himself at great risk. The child's fearful expression, eyes shut tight, accentuates the peril of the moment. This panel effectively captures Yuugo's selflessness and bravery as he acts without hesitation to ensure the safety of another, embodying the very essence of the heroes he admires. In a dramatic confrontation, Yuugo grapples with the assailant, each struggling for dominance. The panels pulse with dynamic energy, showcasing the physical and emotional struggle as Yuugo fights to overpower the danger before him. A bystander's horror-stricken face is visible in the background, heightening the tension and stakes of the encounter. This moment is a testament to Yuugo's courage and determination as he enacts the role of a hero in real life, far from the fictional battles he's always admired. The aftermath of the confrontation leaves Yuugo shocked but initially triumphant, believing he has acted like a real hero. His face lights up with a mix of relief and pride as he thinks, "Right now, I'm just like a real hero. I beat him." However, the realization quickly dawns as he notices a wound on himself, a stark reminder of the real dangers involved in facing violence. His expression turns from triumph to confusion and alarm as he looks down at the blood on his hand, symbolizing the harsh reality that heroism in the real world carries tangible risks and consequences. The final sequence shows the gravity of Yuugo's actions as he collapses from his injury, with the young child he protected witnessing the fall. The child, although scared, recognizes Yuugo's bravery, noting, "Mister!" Yuugo, lying injured on the ground, reflects on his actions with a resigned sense of peace, thinking, "That boy is all right. No, maybe this end isn't that bad. I managed to save him." This poignant moment encapsulates the bittersweet reality of self-sacrifice and the true essence of being a hero. Not just fighting, but the willingness to put others before oneself. As the aftermath settles, the young child's tear-streaked face speaks volumes about the impact of Yuugo's actions. Through his tears, the boy reflects on the situation, regretting the distress it caused. Yuugo, in a moment of self-reflection, vows to himself that if given another chance, he would never let such fear touch those he wishes to protect. His thoughts resonate with a poignant realization of his shortcomings and the harsh truths about heroism. It's not just about bravery, but also about the safety and well-being of others. Yuugo, though physically down, is spiritually unwavering. He envisions himself as the best hero there is, reaffirming his commitment to becoming a hero who protects everyone's smiles. This silhouette of Yuugo, juxtaposed against a starry sky, symbolizes his undying hope and the idealistic goal that drives him. The determination in his eyes and the clarity of his mission reflect a mature understanding of what it means to be a hero, not just in moments of action, but in the ongoing commitment to safeguarding joy and peace. This action-packed panel showcases Yuugo Clay, clad in a striking battle outfit, triumphantly wielding a sword. The scene is charged with intensity as his sword clashes against an unseen opponent, the sound effect clang, emphasizing the fierce contact. Yuugo's sharp, determined gaze underlines his resolve in the duel. This moment captures the climax of the battle, highlighting his prowess and the dramatic flair of his character in a high-stakes confrontation. In the aftermath of the duel, a person declares his victory with a cool, confident demeanor, asserting, "I won this duel." The declaration sets the stage for his next move as he claims his right over Claire, fulfilling the promise made prior to the duel. The fallen opponent, overwhelmed and defeated, adds a layer of gravity to the scene. The background audience, visibly shocked, adds to the impact of Yuugo's victory, emphasizing his dominance and the pivotal moment of the narrative. This panel not only showcases his combat skills, but also his strategic triumph in the complex dynamics of his world. The resolution of the conflict is presented with tenderness and finality. Zenon announces to Claire that he has defeated Yuugo, who had been troubling her, and as a result, their engagement is annulled. Claire's shocked and somewhat bewildered expression captures her mix of relief and confusion. Zenon's calm assurance that he will protect her from now on adds a layer of security and promise to the outcome. This panel portrays a crucial turning point for Claire, as her fate shifts into the protective hands of Zenon, setting a new course for her future. In a broader view of the aftermath, Zenon and Claire are seen together, receiving the gratitude of bystanders, illustrating the communal approval of the resolution. However, the focus shifts quickly to Yuugo, who is grappling with his own thoughts and fears. His internal monologue reveals a poignant mixture of resignation and contemplation as he questions the significance of his recurring visions and his place in these events. This moment encapsulates Yuugo's internal struggle and foreshadows his ongoing battle with his role and identity amidst the complex dynamics of his world. The panel captures Yuugo waking up in an unfamiliar setting with a startled expression. His thoughts race as he tries to process his surroundings, questioning, "Where am I? An infirmary?" The realization of his survival after a fatal injury leaves him both confused and bewildered. The clean, orderly room contrasts sharply with the chaos he previously experienced, signaling a shift in the narrative. This moment sets the stage for a new mystery as Yuugo grapples with the improbability of his situation. Yuugo's bewilderment intensifies as he takes in his new surroundings, an opulent building with grand architecture. His incredulous reaction, "What the hell is this?" conveys his disbelief. Catching a glimpse of his reflection, he is struck by his appearance, exclaiming, "Looking at it again, I'm quite handsome," but immediately follows it up with self-critical humor about his nasty eyes. This mix of shock, humor, and confusion adds depth to the character's reaction, hinting at a potential twist involving his identity and the unfamiliar environment. A commanding figure enters the room, exuding authority in his ornate military-style uniform adorned with medals and epaulets. Yuugo's startled reaction, "Who? A foreigner?" captures his confusion and sets the tone for the confrontation. The stern man delivers a crushing blow to Yuugo's identity by declaring, "With this, you are disowned, Yuugo. You're a disgrace to our family." The words cut deep, and the intensity of the accusation is amplified by the man's imposing stance, emphasizing the weight of familial expectations and honor in this dramatic moment. The man's disappointment is palpable as he continues to berate Yuugo, citing his failure in a critical battle despite wielding the family's treasured sword, Gallandil. His words, "I turned a blind eye to your actions only due to your skills," reveal a strained history between them. Yuugo's confused expressions, peppered with question marks, contrast with the man's harsh judgment, creating a dynamic tension. The panel underscores the theme of legacy and personal failure, leaving Yuugo grappling with his place in the family and the shame of his perceived shortcomings. Yuugo responds to the heated accusations with a mix of confusion and defiance. He interrupts the man's tirade, asking bluntly, "Excuse me, but who are you?" His casual demeanor contrasts sharply with the stern, dramatic atmosphere created by the man's accusations. Unfazed, Yuugo admits he doesn't understand what's happening, brushing off the situation lightly. However, the man's rage escalates, demanding the return of the sword Gallandil and threatening to expel Yuugo from the dormitory. Yugo's panic rises as he scrambles to grasp the gravity of the man's commands. After delivering his final judgment, the imposing figure storms out, leaving Yuugo flustered and bewildered. Yuugo mutters indignantly, "He just said what he wanted to say and left." The man's parting words, forbidding Yuugo from using the Clay family name, deepen the mystery. As Yuugo reflects on the man's behavior, he notes a strange familiarity, remarking, "From the way he talks, he seems like my father, but he's nothing like the father in my memories." This moment hints at a larger conflict surrounding identity and family dynamics. The panel closes with the entrance of another character calling out, "Nissan!" adding another layer to the unfolding drama. A young boy enters the room, radiating concern and relief as he says, "Thank God! You've regained consciousness." His presence is a stark contrast to the chaos earlier. Yuugo, still dazed, is surprised by the boy's familiarity, thinking, boy?" The boy refers to their father's recent outburst and asks if Yuugo is all right, calling him Nissan, older brother. This term of endearment catches Yuugo off guard, triggering a vague memory from his past. Yugo's confused and guarded expression hints at the possibility of a deeper connection or a memory he has yet to fully grasp. Yuugo, still disoriented, asks the boy directly, "Excuse me, but who are you?" The boy is stunned and panics, jumping to the conclusion that Yuugo might have lost his memory due to the duel. Yuugo, trying to make sense of the situation, awkwardly scratches his head and asks lightheartedly, "Who am I and who are you to me? Can you tell me?" This moment balances humor and mystery as Yuugo's casual demeanor contrasts with the boy's emotional response. The dynamic between the two adds a layer of intrigue, setting the stage for Yuugo's journey to uncover the truth about his identity and past. Phi Clay, the younger half-brother of Yuugo Clay, introduces himself with a mix of nervousness and warmth. He explains that Yuugo is the eldest son of the prestigious Clay family, inheritor of the family heirloom, the treasured sword Gallandil. However, Phi reveals that his own physical frailty prevents him from pursuing the path of a knight. The scene shifts as Phi recounts the events before Yuugo lost consciousness, a duel with a classmate that ended in Yuugo's defeat. The consequences of this loss weigh heavily as Phi mentions their father's shame and the loss of Claire Sama, Yuugo's fiancée, due to the bet made during the duel. Phi's narration sets the tone for Yuugo's realization of his situation. As Phi continues to explain, Yuugo processes the information with a mix of disbelief and dawning awareness. Phi elaborates that their father views the defeat as a stain on the Clay family's honor. The sequence takes a surprising turn as Yuugo internally connects the dots, realizing this might be a classic otherworld reincarnation scenario. His expression shifts from confusion to an almost resigned amusement as he declares, "It's the pattern of being reincarnated as a villain." Yuugo's commentary adds a meta-twist, bringing levity to the otherwise dramatic revelations. Phi, standing nearby, cautiously observes Yuugo's reaction, leaving room for further developments. Under the night sky, Yuugo lies outdoors in a sleeping bag, his face reflecting a mix of disbelief and frustration. Surrounded by trees and the shadow of a grand building in the distance, he stares up blankly, pondering, how did it turn out like this? The serene environment contrasts with his inner turmoil, capturing a moment of reflection as he begins to process the drastic turn his life has taken. A majestic view of Luminous Academy is shown, an elite institution designed to train future magic knights. The narrative highlights its reputation for luxurious dorms and facilities, marking it as a symbol of prestige. However, juxtaposed against this grandeur is Yuugo's current situation, camping outside, feeling the unfairness of his predicament. Yuugo's thoughts reveal his realization of being reincarnated as a rowdy character with the same name in another world. Despite his good deeds in his previous life, he wonders about the karmic irony that led him to this point, adding a layer of humor to his introspection. The scene reveals Yuugo's growing frustration and confusion. Having been kicked out of the luxurious dormitory, he's met with the jeers and mockery of his peers. "Serves you right, Yuugo," and "Get out and die," resonate in his mind as he wonders aloud. Just what kind of things did the former Yuugo do to be hated so much? A brief flashback illustrates the former Yuugo's arrogant demeanor, abusing his family name and power to do as he pleased. Back in the present, Yuugo, now cold and hungry, cries out in desperation, "I'm hungry! It's cold! Someone help me!" This moment, a blend of humor and pity, highlights Yuugo's struggles as he grapples with the aftermath of his predecessor's reckless actions. The juxtaposition of his current plight against the former Yuugo's unchecked arrogance adds depth to his predicament. Fi finally finds Yuugo in the wilderness, approaching him with a mix of concern and exasperation. "Finally found you, Nissan," Fi remarks, visibly relieved. Yuugo, still reeling from the hostility he's faced, identifies Fi with a slight hesitation. "Fi, if I remember correctly." Fi offers him food, stating he brought it from his room. Yuugo's mood lifts instantly, expressing genuine gratitude. "Huh, really? Thanks." The scene shifts to Yuugo devouring the meal with enthusiasm, savoring every bite. "Delicious! Delicious! Ah, I feel alive again!" he exclaims, the dramatic shift in his demeanor adding humor to the scene. Fi watches with an amused expression, commenting on Yuugo's ravenous appetite. "You were really starving, huh?" This interaction highlights the growing bond between the brothers, with Fi's gesture of kindness bringing a moment of relief to Yuugo amidst his turmoil. Under the soft glow of lanterns and the calm night, Fi speaks with a mixture of guilt and care, apologizing to Yuugo. "If only I arrived earlier, you wouldn't have to feel so hungry." His bowed head and gentle demeanor reflect his worry and sense of responsibility as a younger brother. Yuugo, ever casual, responds with confusion, his carefree nature contrasting Fi's guilt. In the following frame, Yuugo accepts Fi's care with a sincere yet light-hearted smile, reassuring him that just bringing the food was more than enough. His relaxed posture as he sits and smiles warmly conveys his gratitude, solidifying the bond between the two brothers. Fi, touched by Yuugo's response, looks at him with admiration, subtly showing how much he values his older brother. This quiet moment of connection is further deepened when Fi, in a soft tone, asks about Yuugo's lost memories, showing his concern for his brother's well-being. Fi sits beside Yuugo on a bench under the dim glow of lampposts, his face filled with sadness and guilt. Tears well up in his eyes as he says, "Dad is really cruel. To disown you in such a state and even kick you out of the dorm." His voice cracks with emotion, a stark contrast to his earlier efforts to console Yuugo. Despite his vulnerability, Fi vows, clenching his fist with determination, "I'll try talking to Dad to see if I can get your punishment lifted." Yuugo, sitting more casually, reflects on the situation with a mix of understanding and regret. His inner monologue reveals a growing realization. Maybe Dad has his own circumstances, too. Though he brushes off the gravity of the situation, there's a hint of humility in his thought. I might have gone too far as well. The atmosphere balances sorrow and hope, as Fi's earnest concern contrasts with Yuugo's laid-back demeanor, suggesting a deeper bond forming between the two despite their struggles. Yuugo reflects deeply on the kind gesture from Fi. In the top panel, Fi's face shows earnest concern, yet there's a hint of sadness in his eyes as he offers to help. Yuugo, on the other hand, appears thoughtful but realistic, with a soft, apologetic smile. His inner dialogue, paired with the flashback of his disownment, shows his internal conflict. He recognizes that convincing their father is impossible and acknowledges the lingering hatred from those around him. There's a sense of resolve building within Yuugo as the panel transitions to his determined expression. The bold declaration, "I'd rather start fresh in a completely new situation," paired with his clenched fist, captures his resolve to break free from the shadows of his past. In this panel, Yuugo starts to accept his new reality. The background transitions to a serene nighttime setting, dotted with soft lantern lights, enhancing the quiet reflection of the scene. Fi extends a mysterious bracelet toward Yuugo with a hopeful look, his posture showing trust and anticipation. Yuugo's initial reaction is cautious, his curiosity piqued as he asks, "What's this?" The bracelet, highlighted with intricate details, seems significant. Fi's gentle smile, paired with his simple response, "Just try putting it on," builds intrigue and a sense of camaraderie. The atmosphere subtly shifts from solemn to a glimmer of hope, suggesting this gift might play a pivotal role in Yuugo's journey forward. Yuugo, holding the bracelet Fi gave him, examines it with a mix of curiosity and confusion. His face is tense as he asks, "Is this good?" The panel focuses on his arm and the mysterious bracelet now adorning his wrist. Fi, standing nearby, encourages him to try pouring your magic into it, his expression excited yet patient. Yuugo, caught off guard, stammers, "Magic! Of course there would be magic in another world." His inner monologue reveals his realization of the fantasy-like situation he's found himself in, contrasting his nervous exterior with the chaotic thoughts racing through his mind. Yuugo's unease deepens as he questions, "Is manipulating magic common in this world?" Beads of sweat form on his brow as he tries to grapple with the expectations set by Fi. Fi watches him closely, a mixture of concern and mild amusement evident in his expression. Yuugo's mind races, his thoughts reflecting his struggle to adapt. "Trying to bluff with memory loss has its limits," he concedes, not wanting to burden Fi further. Determined, he clenches his fist and steels himself, declaring inwardly, "Just focus, focus." The final panel captures his resolve as he decides, "I don't get it, but I'll give it a shot." The atmosphere shifts from comedic confusion to a burgeoning sense of determination, hinting at Yuugo's growing acceptance of his new reality. Yuugo is seen closing his eyes with intense focus, clutching the bracelet on his wrist as if summoning all his willpower. With a dramatic proclamation, "Shine! My imagination! Please, miracle!" His expression brims with determination. The panel explodes with vibrant energy as something extraordinary begins to unfold. Yuugo's face twists in shock as he exclaims, What's this?" The visual tension builds as the background pulsates with power, indicating that his words are triggering something unexpected and overwhelming. In the next panel, Yuugo's transformation is complete, and the result is breathtaking. A towering figure clad in sleek, futuristic armor radiates power. This mysterious new form exudes strength, with a sharp, angular helmet and glowing energy coursing through its design. The armor's metallic sheen and the electric currents crackling around it emphasize its formidable presence. The contrast between the calm, ominous background and the sheer vibrancy of the armor creates an awe-inspiring moment, leaving both Yuugo and the reader in stunned silence. This is a game-changing revelation, hinting at a new chapter in Yuugo's journey. The transformation is complete, and the protagonist looks at his new form in awe and disbelief. The armor gleams under the night sky, emitting an aura of strength and power. "Oh!" he exclaims, examining his hands and arms, fully encased in the futuristic armor. Each panel emphasizes the detailed design of the armor, with sharp lines and glowing accents adding to its mystique. In the distance, Fi watches with a satisfied smile, calmly confirming, "Good. It seems like Blaster's adjustment went well." The scene captures a pivotal moment where disbelief and the realization of newfound potential collide. The protagonist stares at his new self, his expression a mixture of amazement and confusion. "Blaster?" he mutters, almost instinctively, as if the name of the armor comes to him from nowhere. Phi explains the intricacies of the blaster armor, his tone laced with excitement and pride. The magical tool is revealed to be an advanced, full-body enchanted armor that activates through the infusion of magic into a bracelet. Detailed annotations appear, highlighting the crystal placements that allow the wearer to unleash devastating punches and kicks. The visual breakdown of the armor design adds an extra layer of immersion. The protagonist, still adjusting to his new form, absorbs the explanation with wide-eyed enthusiasm. "So you're saying that I can do punch and kick special moves?" he exclaims, his thoughts swirling with the possibilities. Phi's casual explanation contrasts with the protagonist's growing amazement and gratitude. His voice softens, filled with emotion. "To think that you got something this amazing just for me. Thank you, my brother." The moment feels deeply personal, blending the thrill of discovery with heartfelt appreciation. Phi's teasing expression and the protagonist's joyous gratitude create a touching, brotherly bond, wrapped in the glow of magical innovation. The scene opens with Yuugo ecstatic about the transformation item, passionately declaring, "What are you talking about? It's a transformation item I've always dreamed of." Despite Phi humbly downplaying the bracelet as just an old model magic tool, Yuugo's enthusiasm is infectious. His joy feels almost childlike as he marvels at the new armor, calling it way too cool and showering Phi with gratitude, exclaiming, "Thank you, Phi, you're the best." Phi, on the other hand, tries to manage Yuugo's excitement, awkwardly protesting and blushing as he gets lifted off the ground by the armor-clad Yuugo. The dynamic between them is both humorous and heartfelt, showcasing their growing bond as brothers. This panel radiates a warm, heartfelt energy as Yuugo expresses his gratitude. With a bright smile, he tells Phi, "Thanks, Phi. You just keep helping me out again and again." The emotion is genuine, showing how much Phi's kindness means to him. Yuugo's words, "Just having someone kind to me makes me happy," hit a deeper note, revealing his vulnerable side. Phi's reaction is equally touching. His face lights up with pride and warmth, and he shyly acknowledges Yuugo's affection. Yuugo goes further, calling himself the happiest big brother in the world for having someone like Phi. The moment is beautifully wrapped up with Phi, softly uttering, "Ni-san," as his admiration and respect for Yuugo visibly deepen. These panels capture a perfect blend of humor, warmth, and character development, leaving readers with a sense of joy and anticipation for what's next in their relationship. As Phi bids farewell, walking away under the glowing night sky, he shouts a cheerful, "See you tomorrow, Ni-san." Yuugo watches him go, his expression momentarily softening. In the next panel, the mood shifts as Yuugo clenches his fist, staring at his wrist adorned with the blaster bracelet. His determination ignites with the declaration, "Now that I have this..." The frame focuses on Yuugo's intense gaze as he envisions becoming a hero, someone who can make everyone smile. His confidence brims as he resolves to start special training, the word henshin bursting out dramatically, teasing the start of something transformative. The narrative abruptly shifts to an extravagant room bathed in shadows. A blonde-haired figure, trembling with ecstatic energy, exclaims, "I did it! I finally did it!" His wide-eyed, manic grin exudes an unsettling pride as he recalls rescuing Claire Tan from that Yuugo. The unhinged laughter in his expression contrasts sharply with his refined suit and the elegance of the room. The scene climaxes with the character revealing his true identity. "My name is not Zenon," he smirks. "My real name is Hino Seto, a reincarnator from another world." His dark aura and cryptic announcement amplify the tension, teasing the dangerous potential he may wield in the unfolding plot. The narrator reveals their reincarnation into a world modeled after a game they cherished, luminous history. A grand ornamental border frames this exposition, emphasizing the fantasy setting. The protagonist, a transfer student at the Royal Academy, forges bonds, grows stronger, and faces challenges within this vibrant universe. This world is rich with over 100 unique characters, intricate root conditions, and favorability ratings, making it a detailed tapestry for the reincarnated individual to navigate. The speaker acknowledges their new identity as Zen and Ash, tying their knowledge of the game's mechanics to their current reality. A flashback-heavy panel focuses on Claire Rogue, the main heroine of the game and the narrator's favorite character. Her image, framed by delicate flowers, reflects her purity and significance. In this reimagined storyline, Claire's tragic fate was altered. The narrator intervened before a key event where Yuugo was meant to take advantage of her. This preemptive act of saving Claire shows the narrator's determination to rewrite fate. Yuugo's downfall is recounted with grim detail, sacrificing his brother for power, succumbing to whispers of demons, and meeting a pitiful demise. The scene of his tragic end is depicted with dark tones and splashes of shadowy blood, visually reinforcing his despair. This sequence sets a tone of redemption and defiance against a predestined narrative. In this panel, Hinoseto steps into the spotlight with a sly, confident grin that reflects his scheming nature. His inner thoughts reveal his intention to rewrite the narrative, deviating from the expected course of events. He declares his goal of becoming the hero of this world, while the mention of enjoying a harem adds a selfish and playful tone to his ambitions. His expression, full of smugness, highlights his arrogance and cunning. The focus shifts to Yuugo, standing firm and resolute. The narration emphasizes a divergence from the expected heroic story, with an ominous hint that a single hero otaku is disrupting the intended flow of events. Yuugo's determined expression and strong stance suggest that he is preparing for a significant challenge. The shadowy silhouettes of other characters contrast with Yuugo's clarity in the foreground, symbolizing his role as a key player in this brewing conflict. This panel exudes tension and sets the stage for an inevitable clash between two opposing forces. The panel opens with a serious reflection from Kurei Yuugo, recalling the moment he lost his life. The grim setting shows him standing protectively in front of a child, shielding them from a knife-wielding assailant. It's a dramatic contrast to the glowing and hopeful Yuugo of the past, his determined expression casting a heroic aura despite the tragedy. In the reincarnated world, Yuugo stands confidently. His clean-cut look and determined eyes suggest that he's ready to take on a new destiny. Beside him, Phi, his adorable and earnest younger brother, clutches the transformation item with visible excitement, brimming with belief in Yuugo's potential. This sibling dynamic adds a heartfelt touch, emphasizing their bond. The panel seamlessly transitions into the context of his rebirth as Yuugo Clay, setting up the stakes of this new chance for heroism. This page jumps straight into the action, featuring a bold character challenging Yuugo to a duel. The challenger, sharply dressed in a pristine uniform, exudes arrogance and confidence, complete with an over-the-top dramatic gesture of his gloved hand. His smirk speaks volumes. He's used to being in control and expects nothing less here. Yuugo's reaction, however, is priceless. His confused yet nonchalant expression creates a humorous clash with the challenger's intensity, making it clear that Yuugo wasn't anticipating this theatrical confrontation. The scene unfolds in an opulent and polished hall with a grand chandelier overhead, emphasizing the dramatic tension. Marcos Bolg exudes aristocratic arrogance as he formally challenges Yuugo Clay to a duel. His posture is refined, yet dripping with overconfidence, a hand gesturing towards Yuugo while his smirk taunts him to become the rust on his blade. Marcos's sharp attire and his dramatic demeanor fit his role as a haughty antagonist perfectly. Yuugo, on the other hand, is hilariously out of sync with the situation. His apologetic expression and awkward scratching of his head reveal his genuine confusion and lack of preparation. His polite attempt to excuse himself by citing memory loss only serves to highlight how out of place he feels in this elaborate drama. The contrast between Marcos's theatrical posturing and Yuugo's awkward humility sets a light-hearted yet intriguing tone for the scene. The tension escalates as Marcos asserts his authority, standing tall and commanding in the center of the room. His line, "But that matters not. You shall fight me, Yuugo Clay," drips with determination and superiority. He's clearly relishing the chance to showcase his dominance, his glove-clad hand dramatically pointing at Yuugo, making it impossible for him to back down. Yuugo, meanwhile, is visibly taken aback, his exaggerated shocked expression and wide eyes perfectly capturing his disbelief. The humor lies in how absurd the challenge feels to him, as he stands there trying to process what's happening. The empty expanse of the hall around them emphasizes the isolation of the confrontation, making the stakes feel both personal and inevitable. Marcos Bolg smirks confidently, his demeanor radiating arrogance. When Yuugo hesitantly asks if he did anything to deserve such hostility, Marcos casually denies it, brushing off the question with an air of superiority. Instead, he claims that the duel isn't about something Yuugo did recently. It's because he's been sick of Yuugo for a long time. Seizing on Yuugo's perceived vulnerability after losing his memory and magic tools, Marcos declares this to be the ideal moment to humiliate him. With a menacing glint in his eye, Marcos laughs maniacally, his voice echoing in the hall as he promises to grind Yuugo into the ground, ensuring he never dares to rise again. Yuugo, instead of retaliating or backing down, responds in a surprisingly calm manner. His tone is casual, almost conversational, as he drops a brutal observation. "Did anyone ever tell you that you have a horrible personality?" This blunt comment momentarily stuns Marcos, who is left speechless. Not letting the tension escalate, Yuugo politely declines the duel, explaining that he has someone waiting for him and that they can settle this another time. His nonchalant dismissal leaves Marcos visibly frustrated, his pride wounded. As Yuugo walks away, Marcos is left standing there, fuming yet introspective. He wonders about the previous Yuugo, the person before reincarnation, trying to piece together why this Yuugo seems so different and why he had earned such hatred to begin with. The tension between the characters is palpable as Marcos smirks confidently, oozing superiority. His posture, relaxed yet assertive, screams that he holds all the cards in this scenario. He gestures with an air of mock reassurance, telling Yuugo not to worry, but his expression betrays a subtle, calculated malice. Yuugo, on the other hand, looks serious and alert. His furrowed brow and slightly turned head show his skepticism about Marcos's intentions. He's on edge, perhaps already aware that this encounter won't end well. As Marcos mentions Yuugo's little brother, his expression shifts into a sly grin, his eyes narrowing as if he's enjoying toying with Yuugo. There's a sinister undertone to his words, as though he's using Phi as leverage. In the lower panels, Yuugo reacts with a mix of confusion and apprehension. His straightforward, contrasts with the dramatic arrival of the guards, whose hurried steps and firm postures add a layer of urgency to the situation. The final reveal, that they've brought Phi, heightens the stakes, leaving Yuugo visibly unsettled. Phi's face immediately steals attention in this panel, his wide, innocent eyes brimming with worry. He's clutching his tie nervously, his small frame accentuated by the intimidating presence of the two guards flanking him. This vulnerable moment tugs at the heartstrings, showcasing his dependency on Yuugo, whom he calls out to softly, "Ni-san." Yuugo, now visibly agitated, demands answers. His sharp tone and intense gaze cut through the air, directed straight at Marcos. This protective instinct shines through, amplifying the emotional weight of the scene. Marcos, ever the manipulator, casually praises the guards for their good work, dismissing Fi's presence as a mere chess piece in his plan. His relaxed stance and calm demeanor create a stark contrast to Yuugo's heated reaction, making Marcos appear even more menacing in his cold calculation. The tension in this panel is palpable. Marcos stands with a smug expression, his eyes sharp as he smirks at Yuugo. He delivers his manipulative threat with a calm yet sinister demeanor, holding all the cards. His posture is straight, and his hand gestures exude confidence and dominance. Yuugo, on the other hand, is visibly seething with anger, his brow furrowed and jaw clenched. The close-up of his sharp glare towards Marcos highlights his growing frustration and helplessness in the situation. His inner conflict is evident as he struggles to protect his little brother while being goaded into the duel. Fi is caught in the crossfire, and his distress is heart-wrenching. Despite the pain, he tries to muster courage, clutching his shirt as if trying to hold back tears or fear. His small frame emphasizes his vulnerability, contrasting the imposing figure of Marcos and his men in the background. The room itself feels suffocating, with the grandeur of its architecture unable to hide the dark undercurrent of the exchange. The heavy shadows and intense expressions of the characters create an oppressive atmosphere that builds anticipation for what's to come. The emotional climax of this confrontation unfolds. Yuugo's protective instincts explode as he shouts, his face a mix of desperation and fury. His hand, raised in an almost pleading gesture, signifies his unwillingness to let Marcos harm Fi any further. This moment captures Yuugo's determination to shield his brother no matter the cost. Marcos, unfazed and gleefully manipulative, taunts Yuugo further with his condescending grin. His confidence is almost infuriating as he dismissively waves off Yuugo's anger, maintaining his air of superiority. His words are cutting, leaving no room for negotiation. Fi, now visibly shaken and on the verge of tears, clings to his emotions, his small voice pleading for Yuugo to avoid the duel. The raw vulnerability in his eyes and the defensive posture of his arms amplify the weight of the situation. The panel transitions to Yuugo's solemn resolve. His body language shifts. He stands taller, shoulders squared, as he makes the ultimate sacrifice for his brother's safety. The somber determination in his eyes tells a story of a man willing to risk everything. Marcos's triumphant smirk, as Yuugo agrees to the duel, solidifies him as a cunning antagonist. The panel ends with a sense of foreboding, the ornate hallway now feeling like a stage set for a dramatic battle. The stakes are higher than ever, and the audience is left brimming with anticipation. The tension escalates as the younger brother, Fi, is held hostage by the opposing group. His worried expression and clenched fists show his desperation, while the older brother stands his ground. His determination shines through his serious expression as he firmly states, "Let him go," offering to accept the duel in exchange for his brother's freedom. Fi looks apologetic and troubled, clearly blaming himself for being captured, while his older brother brushes it off, focusing his anger on the antagonists. The group of aggressors, smirking with their air of superiority, loosen their grip on Fi but maintain a threatening stance. Yuugo's glare at the captors is sharp and filled with restrained fury, conveying that he's not going to let them get away with their actions. The emotional connection between the siblings is evident, contrasting sharply with the cold hostility of their opponents. As Fi moves to his brother's side, there's a moment of emotional exchange. Fi's downcast eyes and hesitant stance convey guilt and shame, but his brother's calm, protective demeanor assures him that everything will be fine. The antagonist, with a smug grin and a mocking tone, comments on their sibling bond, his expression dripping with sarcasm and contempt. He mocks the older brother for showing concern for his family, his cruel laughter echoing his twisted personality. The older brother fires back with sharp words, his expression cold and unwavering as he challenges the antagonist's lack of morals. The atmosphere is heavy. charged with hostility and unspoken threats. The antagonist then proposes the terms of the duel, raising the stakes by announcing that they will each wager something significant. The panel zooms out, emphasizing the grand setting and the gravity of the situation, with all characters positioned in a standoff that hints at the confrontation to come. The panel begins with an intense close-up of Marcos Bolg, his face shadowed slightly to emphasize his malicious smirk. His words drip with arrogance as he leans forward slightly, delivering his cruel terms for the duel: humiliation and servitude. The angle highlights his sneering confidence, giving him an air of dominance. In response, Yuugo Clay's expression is resolute. The framing shifts to him as he replies with defiance. His sharp eyes and clenched fist radiate a sense of inner determination, showing that he's not willing to back down, even when faced with such degrading demands. The contrast between their expressions, Marcos's smugness and Yuugo's controlled anger, sets the emotional tone of the confrontation. The bottom panels shift focus to the exchange of words. Marcos revels in his supposed victory, laughing maniacally, his hand dramatically extended. Yuugo, on the other hand, stays composed, his focus unwavering. The tension is palpable, and the dialogue encapsulates their clashing personalities, the overconfident antagonist versus the quietly determined protagonist. The scene transitions to a more open environment as onlookers murmur in the background. The perspective widens, showing students gathering to witness the impending duel. Yuugo stands tall amidst the crowd, his serious demeanor unshaken despite the rising tension. His posture is firm, projecting an aura of readiness and resolve. The lower panels zoom in on a heartfelt interaction between Yuugo and his younger brother, Phi. Phi's guilt is evident as he timidly apologizes, his small stature emphasizing his vulnerability. Yuugo reassures him, his expression softening momentarily. This brief exchange provides a glimpse of their bond, contrasting with the high-stakes tension surrounding them. The final frame focuses back on Yuugo, his lips curving into a confident smirk as he acknowledges Phi's gratitude. His words imply a sense of foresight, hinting at his preparedness for the battle ahead. The panel captures a turning point in the atmosphere, shifting from unease to determination as Yuugo gears up to face his opponent. In this panel, Yuugo gently places his hand on Phi's head in a reassuring gesture, his expression calm and confident. There's a subtle glow of determination in his eyes as he comforts his younger brother with heartfelt words. The atmosphere radiates warmth and strength, showcasing the bond between the two brothers. Phi, on the other hand, looks up at Yuugo with teary yet hopeful eyes, his concern evident, but his faith in his older brother unwavering. Yugo's words about being a hero land heavily, inspiring Phi even as doubt flickers across his face. Here, the scene shifts dramatically as Marcos stands fully armored in his majestic, almost ostentatious, Giga Scissors magical tool. The armor gleams with intricate details, exuding an air of arrogance that perfectly mirrors Marcos's smirking expression. He taunts Yuugo with biting sarcasm, his words designed to provoke. Yuugo, standing across from him, remains unshaken, his stoic demeanor masking a sharp wit as he fires back with a sly remark about the armor's unusual crab-like design. The tension in this moment is palpable, with Marcos's condescension clashing against Yuugo's calm confidence, setting the stage for their duel. The page begins with a tense face-off. Yuugo is assessing the situation as he realizes the nature of Marcos's weapon, an armor-like magical tool, eerily similar to his own. His inner thoughts reflect both intrigue and disdain as he internally mocks the absurdity of giant scissors as a weapon. There's a flicker of determination in his eyes as he prepares for battle, his posture growing more resolute. In the lower panels, we see Yuugo make his iconic transformation gesture, declaring Henshin with a clenched fist glowing with energy. The energy around him crackles to life, creating an exciting and empowering buildup. The transformation sequence culminates in a full-page reveal of Yuugo's hero form. The design of his armor is sleek, powerful, and radiates an otherworldly aura. The sharp, angular details of his helmet and chest plate exude strength and confidence, emphasizing the metamorphosis from a regular student to a valiant hero. Marcos, in the background, appears momentarily stunned by the transformation, his stance stiff as if caught off guard. Meanwhile, Yuugo stands confidently, his body language asserting dominance and readiness to take on whatever comes his way. The audience, even though not fully visible, can feel the electrifying atmosphere building around this climactic transformation moment. In this panel, the intensity of the confrontation is palpable. Marcos, exuding confidence, taunts Yuugo, mocking the apparent weakness of his magic tool. His smirk radiates condescension, every word meant to undermine his opponent's spirit. Meanwhile, Yuugo, fully armored in his heroic form, remains calm yet determined, his stance showing he's ready for whatever comes next. His armor gleams, contrasting with Marcos's arrogant demeanor. The bottom half shifts to Phi and the spectators. Phi, visibly distressed, cheers passionately for his brother, his loyalty and worry spilling over in his cries. Behind him, other students root for Marcos with venomous disdain, their jeers highlighting the stakes of this duel. The contrast between the cheering factions amplifies the tension, setting the stage for an epic clash. The atmosphere shifts as the fight rules are laid bare. Marcos, composed and commanding, declares the conditions of the battle with a cool confidence, emphasizing the finality of defeat. His presence dominates the scene as he stands poised with his weapon at the ready. Yuugo listens intently, his armored figure radiating focus. His eyes narrow behind his helmet, showing his growing resolve. The dialogue cuts to a bystander questioning whether the battle has already begun, emphasizing the gravity of this encounter. Yuugo's slight smirk in response to the explanation hints at his readiness, his determination bubbling under the surface. The final frame shows the opponents facing off, the tension coiling like a spring. Marcos looks calculating, his mind already forming a strategy, while Yuugo's body language screams anticipation. Sparks of energy and the dynamic lines surrounding the combatants hint at the explosive action that's about to unfold. The tension is palpable as the scene shifts to the combatants. Yuugo, clad in his heroic armor, concentrates intently. His thought process is revealed. He's channeling magic into his right hand, every movement calculated. His opponent, Marcos, stands smugly, mocking Yuugo's efforts with sharp, biting remarks. "Another performance?" he taunts, his expression dripping with contempt. The surrounding spectators murmur, some confused, others skeptical of Yuugo's approach. Yuugo's heroic stance contrasts with Marcos's cruel arrogance. Marcos's sneering laughter fills the panel as he dismissively calls Yuugo a clown, reveling in his perceived superiority. But in the midst of this derision, Yuugo's resolve strengthens. A panel captures the crackling power gathering in Yuugo's arm, showing his determination to prove Marcos wrong. The culmination of Yuugo's preparation explodes across the page in a dynamic, action-packed sequence. Yuugo unleashes a devastating attack, the energy blast visually stunning as it tears through the air. The sweeping arcs of light dominate the panel, showcasing the sheer force of his strike. Marcos's overconfidence shatters instantly as the attack connects with his weapon, sending him flying. Marcos's expression twists into one of shock and horror as he screams, "Impossible!" His previously unshakable arrogance crumbles under the realization of Yuugo's strength. The juxtaposition of Marcos's disbelief with Yuugo's unyielding focus adds weight to the moment, solidifying Yuugo's transformation into a true hero in the eyes of the audience. The scene is electrifying, filled with the thrill of unexpected triumph. This page is a triumphant moment for Yuugo, who seems to have landed a decisive move. His armored form exudes confidence as he declares, "I did some practice yesterday, so I was able to do a hero-like move." The way he names the attack, Dragon Fang Blaster, adds a dramatic flair to his hero persona. You can feel Yuugo's pride and satisfaction emanating from his pose and words. The reaction from the crowd in the background shows surprise and curiosity, their faint outlines indicating they're caught off guard by his unexpected effectiveness. Yuugo's gratitude to his inspirations, indicated by Ryuko Yoa, is a subtle nod to his sense of duty and acknowledgement of others' contributions. In the final panel, Yuugo reflects on his success but notes his room for improvement, showing a thoughtful and analytical side beneath his flashy bravado. This blend of humility and determination makes Yuugo an engaging protagonist. Marcos's downfall is strikingly illustrated here. The once cocky and arrogant antagonist lies defeated, sprawled out on the shattered ground, a stark contrast to his earlier self-assured demeanor. His disbelief is palpable as he mutters, "Unbelievable? I lost to this fool?" It's a humbling moment that captures his shattered pride. The onlooker's shock is further amplified by the dramatic text bubbles and exclamations like, "Marco-sama!" Yuugo, still in his heroic armor, appears just as surprised at his own victory, as highlighted by his simple yet bewildered, "Huh?" This panel is a satisfying conclusion to the confrontation, showing the dramatic turn of events while hinting at Yuugo's unintentional yet effective rise as a hero. The mix of humor and drama makes this moment memorable. This page perfectly captures the unexpected aftermath of victory. Phi, wide-eyed and filled with awe, is overwhelmed with emotion as he stares at Yuugo's heroic form. His expression radiates a mix of disbelief and pride, showing just how much this moment means to him. Yuugo, still clad in his intimidating armor, looks down at himself with a mix of confusion and realization. The dialogue, Did I just beat him?" perfectly encapsulates his shock and disbelief. It's almost comical yet deeply satisfying, as this self-aware moment breaks the tension of the battle. The subtle lighting and shading on Yuugo's armor emphasize the gravity of the moment, while the background silhouettes of onlookers serve as silent witnesses to this surprising turn of events. This panel balances humor, triumph, and a touch of humility, making it a memorable conclusion to the fight. This page captures the aftermath of a climactic fight with a lighthearted twist. The protagonist is standing over the defeated opponent, visibly surprised at their unexpected victory. His tone and body language reflect disbelief and a touch of humor as he awkwardly confirms the win. This page captures the aftermath of a climactic fight with a lighthearted twist. The protagonist is standing over the defeated opponent, visibly surprised at their unexpected victory. His tone and body language reflect disbelief and a touch of humor as he awkwardly confirms the win. This is a beautifully composed epilogue page showing the protagonist and Phi sharing a tender, heartfelt moment outside the arena. Sitting on a bench under the open sky, the protagonist apologizes for the chaotic events, even mentioning missing lunch. It's a subtle touch that humanizes the character, showing his care for Phi beyond the battle. Phi, brimming with optimism, reassures him with her bright smile and spirited expression. The page shifts from action to a slice-of-life tone, emphasizing their strong sibling dynamic. The conversation transitions to praise for the protagonist's skill, adding a comedic undertone to their moment of bonding. The detailed background of the Academy and Clock Tower contrasts with the soft emotions, grounding the narrative in its setting while amplifying the warmth of the exchange. The panel captures a discussion between Phi and Yuugo about the magic armor blaster. Phi looks both inquisitive and confident as she shares her thoughts. Her expression shows an eagerness to share knowledge, adding depth to her character. The conversation emphasizes that Blaster is an outdated model from decades ago, highlighting its mass production nature. Yuugo listens intently, his pose relaxed, but slightly skeptical. His curiosity and reflection are evident as he contemplates whether the armor might be an impressive tool despite its age. The setting is serene, with a courtyard featuring lush trees and ornate architecture, giving the scene a casual yet insightful atmosphere. Phi's enthusiasm peaks as she passionately explains the armor's limitations, emphasizing its high defense but lack of capability to greatly enhance abilities. The "huh?" reaction panel adds humor and breaks the tension, making the interaction feel lighthearted and engaging. This panel dives deeper into the limitations and potential of full-body armor magic tools. Phi continues her explanation with fervor, her animated gestures and bright expressions showcasing her intelligence and zeal. She argues that magic knights can enhance their physical capabilities without armor, which reduces the necessity for such tools. Yuugo, in contrast, has a mix of realization and surprise on his face. His posture shifts as he acknowledges Phi's point, creating a moment of growth and understanding between the two. The background subtly frames their dialogue with open walkways and expansive architecture, reinforcing the setting's elegance. The dialogue transitions into a speculative note, as Yuugo suggests the possibility of using lighter, more robust materials to develop a new type of armor. The panel ends on a thought-provoking and hopeful tone, leaving room for innovation and curiosity in their magical world. Phi takes the lead in explaining the technicalities of the armor. Her bright and innocent expression contrasts with her unexpectedly detailed and practical knowledge about the blaster. The casual gesture of her raised hand while making her point emphasizes her confidence and eagerness to share information. Phi explains the impracticality of mass-producing such armor, showcasing her logical and informed perspective despite her youthful appearance. This moment captures her as the brains of the duo. There's a mix of lightheartedness and seriousness as Phi dives into a subject that seems to have both practicality and emotional weight for her. Yuugo appears a bit taken aback and frustrated, showcasing his skepticism toward the armor's limitations. His body language, with an animated movement of his hand, adds to the comedic disbelief. A shadowy image of the armor in the background highlights its lack of extra functionality, subtly tying the dialogue to the visual storytelling. The panel balances humor with technical exposition, keeping the mood engaging. The two characters sit together in a peaceful outdoor setting. The fountain and serene backdrop contrast with Yuugo's exaggerated inner turmoil, creating a visual comedic punchline. Yuugo, with his defeated posture and downcast expression, reflect his acknowledgement of the armor's inefficiencies. The shift from his usual confident demeanor to a more introspective mood adds depth to his character. His animated reaction, complete with exaggerated arm movements and flustered expression, encapsulates his frustration over the prioritization of efficiency over coolness. This moment highlights his more childish and relatable side, making him an endearing protagonist. Despite Yuugo's meltdown, Phi remains calm, looking slightly amused by her brother's dramatic reaction. The panel strikes a balance between humor and introspection as Yuugo grapples with the harsh realities of practicality overtaking heroic ideals. The panel opens with Phi and Yuugo seated on a staircase, lost in conversation. The atmosphere feels a mix of somber reflection and growing curiosity. Phi, sitting with a slight tilt of her head, looks thoughtful, her body language relaxed but engaged. Her small stature and innocent expression bring a sense of vulnerability to the scene. The dialogue highlights a discussion about the legacy of full-body armor magic tools. As Phi explains, there's a cutaway to a shadowy flashback. Figures shrouded in a harsh light berating another character, possibly Yuugo. Their mocking expressions and harsh words like disgrace carry a biting weight, adding layers of tension and backstory. The mention of Marcos's scissors ties the past to the present, setting up an ominous connection. This panel shifts into a more intimate moment as Yuugo earnestly asks Phi, "Why are you so kind to me?" His face, shaded slightly, reflects his lingering doubts and vulnerability. The question hangs heavy, showing how deeply he's affected by his perceived isolation. Phi responds with quiet conviction, her expression soft yet determined. The flashback panels reveal Phi's reasoning. Yuugo was ostracized, and yet Phi saw his humanity, forging a unique bond. This sequence contrasts moments of loneliness with the warmth of their current relationship. The final close-up of Phi's smile is heartwarming, her words of gratitude, "Because Nissan is my benefactor," carrying profound sincerity. It's a perfect blend of emotional tension and resolution, making the connection between these two characters feel genuinely touching. Yuugo and Phi are sitting side by side, sharing a moment heavy with emotion. Phi looks down, their hands clasped nervously as they confess, "You might not remember because of your amnesia, but you were the only one in our house that's been kind to me." There's a mixture of vulnerability and sincerity in their expression, making their words hit hard. Yuugo, on the other hand, sits upright, his posture tense as he processes Phi's heartfelt words. His gaze is fixed on them, his surprise evident, as if this revelation has shaken something inside him. The next panels shift to Phi's painful memories. A small, lonely silhouette of Phi, surrounded by the vastness of nature, highlights their isolation. Their dialogue paints a grim picture, a weak body being unloved, and constant feelings of inadequacy. "Even I myself thought that I was worthless," Phi admits, their words carrying the weight of years of pain. The atmosphere is poignant, drenched in reflection and growing understanding between the two. But in the end, Phi adds with a glimmer of hope, "But it was Nissan who changed me." The scene shifts back to Yuugo, whose eyes widen in shock and concern. His face reflects a mix of disbelief and guilt as he whispers, "Me?" This page dives deeper into their bond, showcasing a pivotal memory. The panel at the top depicts a younger, slightly animated Yuugo, smiling broadly, offering Phi reassurance. "You may not have talent as a magic knight, but you do have talent as a researcher." Phi, younger and more timid, sits surrounded by books, clutching one tightly as if Yuugo's words are giving them strength. A close-up of Phi's bright, tear-filled eyes shows their immense gratitude, a tender sparkle in their expression. The middle of the page transitions into a promise Yuugo once made, depicted through a simple, profound gesture, a hand gripping another, symbolic of unwavering trust. "When I become the head of the house, I'll make you my right-hand man," he had said. The scene brims with hope, underscored by Phi's narration about the joy they felt, knowing someone believed in them. Finally, the two are shown walking side by side, the scale and positioning emphasizing Phi's smaller stature beside the protective figure of Yuugo. Phi's determination is clear as they reflect on how Yuugo's words inspired them to work tirelessly. The last bubble summarizes it perfectly. "In order to become someone worthy of being your right-hand man, I was able to give it my all." The imagery and dialogue weave a tale of growth, gratitude, and mutual respect. The panel highlights Phi's radiant gratitude as they share an emotional moment with Yuugo. Phi's expression is beaming, their wide smile and sparkling eyes showing how much admiration and love they have for Yuugo. They proclaim, "Everything I have now is all thanks to you, Nissan," with such heartfelt sincerity that it's impossible not to feel their overwhelming gratitude. Yuugo, seated nearby, looks at Phi with slight amazement and a tinge of bashfulness. Phi continues, brimming with excitement, "You were really cool, Nissan, saying you won't lose and then actually winning. You were incredibly cool." Air animated energy contrasts Yuugo's surprised and slightly awkward reaction, but it's clear he's touched by their words. This scene beautifully captures the bond between them, with Phi's admiration and Yuugo's quiet acknowledgement of their shared struggles and triumphs. The atmosphere shifts to a deeper sense of resolve as Phi, standing a short distance away, speaks with steadfast conviction. They vow, "I'll keep believing in you, Nissan. As long as I do that, you'll keep winning, right?" Their determined gaze reflects their unshakable trust in Yuugo, even in the face of adversity. Yuugo, still seated, listens intently, his thoughtful expression shifting to one of quiet determination. Fi continues, "I believe that no matter how tough it is right now, or whatever other people say, you won't lose." Their unwavering belief in Yuugo fuels his resolve. Yuugo clenches his fists, his lips curling into a confident smile as he stands tall, determined to live up to their faith in him. "I have to keep moving forward," he says to himself, "in order to become a big brother that you can be proud of." The exchange ends with both siblings radiating a renewed sense of purpose, their bond stronger than ever. This panel beautifully emphasizes the mutual support they provide each other, solidifying their roles as each other's source of strength and inspiration. In this heartfelt moment, Fi gazes at Yuugo with sparkling eyes, his smile warm and genuine. "You'll definitely do it. I guarantee it," he declares confidently, his faith in him shining through every word. His small hands clutch close to his chest, emphasizing the emotion behind his words. "Because to me, you're a hero," he adds, her cheeks faintly flushed with admiration. Yuugo, caught off guard, looks at her with wide eyes, his expression a mixture of surprise and gratitude. He clenches his fist as if grounding himself in her unwavering belief. In the bottom panel, his thoughts echo his resolve. "Honestly, I still haven't decided what to do in this world, but now I want to live up to Fi's trust and expectations." The page opens with a determined Yuugo, his face full of resolve as he clenches his fist. "This time, I'll definitely protect the smiles directed towards me." His voice carries the weight of a newfound purpose, and his expression radiates a quiet confidence, his brows furrowed with focus. The setting shifts to the bustling academy grounds, with elegant architecture framing the scene. Yuugo suggests, "We haven't eaten yet, so let's check out the cafeteria." This casual comment adds a touch of levity, showing the duo moving forward together, bound by trust and shared determination. In the next scene, Fi excitedly agrees, her small frame nearly bouncing with enthusiasm. "Yes," she exclaims, her energy infectious. Sato stands in a grand hallway, his back straight, tension radiating from his frame. He shouts, "What is the meaning of this?" His tone is sharp, demanding answers as if the very foundation of his understanding has been shaken. The next panel zooms in on his face, a mix of disbelief and frustration etched in every line. His teeth clench tightly as he mutters to himself, "How did this happen?" The words feel like they're dragged from the depths of his confusion, his mind racing to connect the dots. Sato's hands grip his uniform as his internal monologue reveals his deeper unease. "I've played through this game, but I've never heard about it," he repeats incredulously, his face drenched in a mixture of realization and disbelief. "A duel event between Yuugo and Marcos," he thinks, his furrowed brow emphasizing his growing doubt. The scene closes with Sato's expression, a storm of emotions, confusion, frustration, and the faintest glimmer of fear for what might come next. The panel introduces Marcos Bolg, a student in the same year as Yuugo. Marcos is portrayed as a suave and confident character, smiling slyly with his hand near his face, exuding charisma. Despite his early involvement, it's explained that he tends to fade into the background as the story progresses. Marcos's posture and attire reflect his aristocratic background, aligning with the description of him being from a prestigious environment. The narration reveals that although Marcos initially held hostility toward Yuugo due to fear of his magic tool, Gallandil, he never acted on it. The panel also outlines a significant event, the Marcos event, where Marcos challenges the protagonist, believing him to be weaker than Yuugo. In the final panel, Marcos confidently declares his challenge, his dramatic pose matching the grandeur of the moment, with an audience in the background adding to the tension. Marcos's storyline takes a turn in this panel. After losing the duel, Marcos joins the protagonist's party, beginning a path of growth and camaraderie. The frame showing Marcos and the protagonist emphasizes mutual respect, with elegant floral designs symbolizing their evolving bond. The narration explains Marcos's development as he competes with the protagonist, maturing while aligning his motivations in the right direction. Another panel highlights a key revelation. Marcos feared Yuugo because of the power of Gallandil. However, after Yuugo loses Gallandil, Marcos's confidence grows, leading him to challenge Yuugo, a decision that stems from misunderstanding his opponent's true potential. Sato's reflective gaze fills the last frame, piecing together Marcos's fears and motivations, adding depth to the rivalry and character dynamics. Sato reflects on the delicate balance of events in the original story, his expression shifting between worry and focus as he considers the implications of his actions. The fragmented, digital-like frames around him emphasize his detachment from reality, a stark reminder that he's not just living the story but actively reshaping it. He's troubled by the possibility that defeating Yuugo prematurely might have caused a bug, potentially altering the narrative beyond repair. Sato's inner monologue reveals relief that Marcos wasn't a character sought after by other reincarnators. His serious demeanor contrasts with the underlying chaos of his thoughts, making it clear he's trying to navigate the unpredictable waters of this altered timeline. The dramatic shadow over his face heightens the tension of the moment, encapsulating his unease. The tension breaks as Sato's eyes light up with realization, and his expression twists into a mix of excitement and mischief. The silhouette of a girl, her long, flowing hair and confident stance outlined by a dazzling light, captures his attention. This heroine's popularity rivals even Claire's, and Sato's mind races with ambition. His sly grin and scheming eyes reveal his intent. This girl is next on his list. Sato's playful yet devious nature comes to the forefront as he muses about creating a harem, his laughter echoing his over-the-top personality. The dynamic composition of this panel, with the grand architecture in the background and the ominous shadows creeping in, hints at the brewing chaos his schemes might bring to this already unpredictable world. Yuugo and Phi walk into the school's cafeteria, the grand and elegant design catching Phi's attention. Phi, wide-eyed with amazement, comments, "This is the cafeteria." The atmosphere is lively, with groups of students filling the space, chatting and eating. Suddenly, Yuugo is approached by two classmates with smug grins plastered on their faces. One of them mockingly remarks, "Yo, Yuugo Clay, I guess getting disowned means you're just Yuugo now?" The other adds with a sneer, "Do you even have money to eat here? Camping out now, right?" Yuugo stands his ground, his expression calm but annoyed. The taunts continue as they try to demean him, but Yuugo remains composed, refusing to give them the reaction they want. Yuugo, feeling a mix of frustration and determination, acknowledges their taunts in his inner monologue, thinking, "That's right, this situation is quite embarrassing." He adds humor to his thoughts, considering his options. "Even if I'm camping outside, I'd need a tent to withstand the rain and wind." As the bullies burst into laughter, Yuugo mutters aloud, "Well, I guess I need to earn my own living somehow." His resolve catches the attention of someone nearby. A blonde girl with a confident yet curious expression approaches Yuugo. Her stylish outfit and commanding presence immediately shift the mood. She interrupts, "Hey, you! Are you looking for a job?" Yuugo, caught off guard, stammers in surprise, "Huh?" The vibrant pink-haired girl leans forward slightly, her lips curving into a sly smile as she confidently asks, "Then why don't you team up with me?" Her eyes glimmer with playful mischief, a hint of boldness in her gaze as she takes control of the conversation. The next panel captures her full introduction. She straightens up with a cheerful and welcoming expression. Her long, wavy pink hair cascades elegantly down her shoulders as she waves enthusiastically, saying, "I'm Melta Pei. Nice to meet you." The combination of her warm smile and energetic demeanor creates an inviting, magnetic presence, making it hard to look away. The panel introduces the lively and confident Meltepe, her signature pink hair flowing as she enthusiastically steps forward with an inviting smile. Her expression radiates charm and energy as she locks eyes with Yuugo, throwing a lifeline with her bold offer, "Are you looking for a job?" The background reveals the bustling cafeteria, a perfect backdrop for Melt's bright demeanor to stand out. The words mark the start of an unexpected partnership. Melt formally introduces herself with a vibrant wave and a beaming grin, exuding positivity as she declares her name and status as a transfer student. Yuugo stands stiff, clearly taken aback, a bead of sweat on his brow hinting at his unease. "Ah, I'm Yuugo Clay," he manages to respond, though his apprehension at using his family name is evident. Melt, undeterred, chuckles warmly, signaling that she's well aware of his situation and extending an olive branch of camaraderie. The panel captures the playful yet heartwarming energy of their dynamic. In this panel, Melt, with her signature playful smirk and slightly teasing expression, leans forward, hands casually resting on her chin as if enjoying a private joke. Her eyes sparkle mischievously as she casually jabs at Yuugo's situation, reminding him of his defeat and his struggle to make ends meet. Yuugo, in contrast, has a slightly awkward grin, his raised brow and sideways glance showing a mix of embarrassment and resignation. The atmosphere feels light, with Melt clearly holding the upper hand in the playful banter, while Yuugo tries to stay composed despite his obvious discomfort. Melt's expression softens as Yuugo hesitantly admits his memory loss, a slight look of curiosity and understanding appearing on her face. The focus shifts as she takes the lead, hands animatedly gesturing, confidently explaining the concept of a quest to Yuugo. Her enthusiasm shines through as she details the Academy's efforts to instill responsibility in its students. Yuugo, standing slightly behind her, scratches his head awkwardly, visibly lost in thought, reflecting his confusion and struggle to catch up. The atmosphere here is one of explanation and guidance, with Melt's lively demeanor contrasting Yuugo's reflective stance. Melt enthusiastically explains that once a quest is completed, students receive payment, with some earning their entire living expenses through this method. She adds a self-deprecating comment in a small doodle form, admitting she's in the same boat. "I'm also one of them, though." Yuugo acknowledging Melt's reasoning, saying, "I see. So you approached me because it seems like I'm in need of money?" His slightly embarrassed tone is paired with a small thought bubble revealing his self-awareness. Yuugo, still processing this information, looks ahead with a determined expression, thinking, "There seems to be quite a lot of things in a different world." This thought highlights his growing curiosity and adaptability to his new circumstances. He tries to clarify the topic, asking Melt about the specific quest she mentioned earlier. "So, about what we talked about before, could you tell me what kind of quest you're planning to take on?" His tone is cautious but interested, reflecting his need to understand this world's mechanics. The first panel shows Melt cheerfully pulling out a folded piece of paper with an enthusiastic, "Okay, let's see. Here it is." Her energy contrasts Yuugo's cautious demeanor as he watches her with a mix of curiosity and apprehension. In the next panel, Yuugo reads the paper aloud. A one-day patrol duty job on a nearby road. His tone is skeptical, and his face mirrors his uncertainty, emphasizing his unfamiliarity with these kinds of tasks. Melt, undeterred by his reaction, exclaims enthusiastically, "That's right. Don't you think that this job's reward is great?" Her over-the-top excitement is depicted with sparkles and her trademark confident smile, which lightens the atmosphere. Meanwhile, Yuugo nervously scratches his head and sheepishly admits, "Honestly, I don't know how prices work in this world." His slightly defeated look shows that he's still struggling to adapt, but Melt's energy keeps the scene lighthearted and optimistic. Yuugo contemplates his situation, his serious expression reflecting the weight of his current circumstances. His inner thoughts suggest that relying on quests may be his best option for survival in this new world. His resolve solidifies as he declares, "All right, I'll also accept this quest." Melt's face lights up with pure joy, her sparkling eyes brimming with gratitude and excitement. She reveals that today was the last day to take on the mission, and without Yuugo's help, she would have been forced to give up. Her over-enthusiastic reaction catches Yuugo off guard as he awkwardly remarks, "Too close, too close," while gently holding up his hand to create some distance. Melt's intense emotions are portrayed with a mix of hilarity and sincerity, making this interaction feel lively and endearing. The scene shifts to Phi entering the room, holding meal tickets and looking inquisitive. His innocent question, "Who is she?" immediately throws Yuugo into a panic. Caught off guard, Yuugo stammers while trying to introduce Melt, adding to the comedic tension. Melt, however, jumps in enthusiastically, introducing herself as Melt Epi, a friend of Yuugo's. Her animated energy contrasts sharply with Phi's quiet suspicion as he nervously asks, "A friend? Nissan, is this true?" Yuugo's awkward, "Yeah, I guess," only heightens Phi's confusion, leading to a dramatic reaction as the young boy sprints off in shock, leaving Yuugo even more flustered. The humor and dynamic emotions in this panel emphasize the budding camaraderie and the chaotic energy Melt brings to Yuugo's life. Phi is shown crying, with tears streaming down his cheeks. His dialogue expresses disbelief and joy, saying, "Sniff, I can't believe that Nissan could make a friend." His hands clutch near his chest, emphasizing his emotional state. Melt stares at the scene silently with a curious expression. Her head tilts slightly, her brows raised as if she's analyzing or trying to understand the dynamic between the brothers. Yuugo, with a calm yet questioning tone, "Are you making fun of me?" Phi and Melt stand facing Yuugo. Melt looks composed, but Phi continues to react strongly, visibly clenching his fists near his face as Yuugo tries to calm him down. Melt's line, "Your brother's really fond of you," directly points out the bond she notices. Melt stands confidently with a soft smile. Her head is tilted slightly, and her dialogue reassures Yuugo, "Personally, I don't think that you're as bad as you imagine." This line is delivered in a warm tone. Yuugo scratches the back of his head, visibly flustered, and admits, "I lost my memories, so I might be a bit different than before." His dialogue shows uncertainty about his past self. Melt's expression turns radiant as she smiles brightly with both hands placed confidently on her hips. Her next line, "I'm glad you're my first friend here," is cheerful, accompanied by her playful and confident posture. Her energy seems to light up the frame, drawing attention to her outgoing personality. Yuugo sits quietly, reflecting on Melt's vibrant personality. His internal monologue humorously compares her to a henshin heroine, deciding she would undoubtedly be the main character, specifically in pink. The simplified chibi-style doodle of himself adds a touch of levity to the moment. As the thought lingers, Yuugo's expression softens, and he smiles slightly, acknowledging her as a nice girl. The mood shifts as Yuugo becomes introspective, realizing that Melt is the first friend he's made since his reincarnation. He clenches his fist in quiet determination, symbolizing his resolve to embrace this new beginning. The panel is shaded dramatically, emphasizing the importance of this realization as he thinks, "I've taken my first step in this world." The scene transitions to the next day. A bustling townscape unfolds, filled with lively chatter and movement. The architectural blend of fantasy elements and modern designs, like the prominent clock tower and the running steam train, creates a unique and immersive setting. Yuugo, walking amidst the crowd, marvels at the world around him. His candid remark, "Man, it really does feel like I'm in an anime world," adds a touch of humor, reflecting his outsider perspective. Melt enthusiastically leads the way, pointing out their destination in the bustling streets. Yuugo's amazement peaks as he notices the functioning steam train. His wide-eyed excitement is palpable as he exclaims, "Whoa, amazing!" The panel perfectly captures his childlike wonder, contrasting with Melt's focused energy as she directs him onward. This mix of curiosity and exploration highlights Yuugo's journey of adapting to his new reality. Yuugo and Melt walk side by side, their conversation filled with intrigue and curiosity. Melt points out that this area, close to the capital, is unique because trains pass through it. Her excitement is clear as she admits that, coming from the countryside, she's only ever ridden carriages. Yuugo, just as amazed, asks if trains are rare here, to which Melt explains that she had never seen one until arriving in this area. Their eyes light up as they talk about the possibility of riding one someday, an idea that sparks a sense of adventure between them. Yuugo, reflecting on his amnesia, realizes that experiencing something as if for the first time may not be so bad after all. He smiles warmly, joking, "I guess losing my memories ain't that bad." Melt's cheerful response, coupled with her encouragement to enjoy new experiences, creates a light-hearted moment that emphasizes their budding friendship. The scene shifts as Yuugo and Melt arrive near a tunnel. Yuugo notices how relaxed the guards seem, remarking that highway security in this area appears to have a lot of free time. Melt adds that another guard is stationed at the tunnel's other end, likely just as idle. Yuugo, taking in the calmness of the surroundings, sees this as a good thing, commenting that it reflects the peace of the region. Melt, with her characteristic enthusiasm, agrees, saying, "I'd much rather it stay quiet and earn some easy money." Her casual tone contrasts with the potential unease Yuugo feels, though he doesn't show it. The two share a moment of mutual understanding, their dialogue laced with humor and a sense of ease, as the peaceful setting subtly sets the stage for what might come next. The sudden sound of an explosion, followed by a loud boom, jolts both Yuugo and Melt, their startled expressions showcasing the abruptness of the event. Yuugo immediately reacts, exclaiming, "Whoa! What was that noise?" The tension rises as Melt receives a mysterious message on her device, her worried expression hinting that something unexpected is unfolding. "Huh? A message? I wonder what happened," she wonders aloud, adding an air of suspense. The calm of their surroundings contrasts starkly with the uncertainty sparked by the message. Melt reads the message, revealing unsettling news. The magic train they had observed earlier has not yet reached the station. Her concerned tone reflects the gravity of the situation as she states, "They said that the magic train from earlier hasn't arrived at the station yet." Melt, however, suspects more severe complications, saying, "There must have been some sort of trouble in the tunnel." Yuugo, trying to piece things together, speculates, "Could the train have run out of fuel?" The two resolve to investigate, with Yuugo decisively suggesting, "For now, let's go into the tunnel and check it out." Their determined expressions show their readiness to confront whatever awaits them. Yuugo and Melt venture into the dark tunnel, their surroundings eerily silent and shrouded in shadows. Yuugo comments on the unexpected darkness, noting how he can't even see the exit. Melt explains that the tunnel's slight curve prevents light from reaching them, which makes sense of their disorientation. As they tread carefully, the sound of loose gravel crunching underfoot adds to the tense atmosphere. Suddenly, Melt slips, letting out a startled "Kya" as she falls, the motion breaking the quiet suspense of the tunnel. Melt stumbles and falls forward, unintentionally revealing her panties. Yuugo's shocked reaction is highlighted with wide eyes and a blush as he inadvertently catches a glimpse. As the panel hilariously emphasizes the forbidden view, Yuugo blurts out, "Purple," like a reflex, his face immediately burning with embarrassment. Melt, now fully aware of the accidental peek, spins around and nervously demands, "Did you see?" Yuugo, sweating bullets, stammers, "Ah, no." It was only for a moment, and it was too dark to see. His excuse is as shaky as his voice, leaving Melt unconvinced. Still flushed, she murmurs, "Really?" as her glaring disbelief adds to the hilarity. Yuugo is clearly lying. Yuugo and Melt pause in the tunnel as Yuugo asks if they have a light source. Melt casually acknowledges that they do and summons a small but peculiar object. She hands it to Yuugo with a warning. "Make sure to only hold the handle part, okay? If you hold the blade part, you might cut yourself." Her tone is a mix of confidence and slight amusement, contrasting Yuugo's growing confusion as he inspects the item. Melt proudly introduces her magic tool, Sword Ring, while holding up the luminous weapon. Her enthusiasm shines as she explains its ability to project her magical energy as a sword of light, calling it a very versatile ability. Yuugo, caught up in her excitement, mutters to himself, "Wait a sec," as his gears start turning, contemplating the potential of such an item. The scene captures Melt's cheerful confidence and Yuugo's analytical curiosity as they prepare to venture deeper into the unknown. Yuugo is momentarily lost in thought, his imagination running wild as he considers Melt's abilities. His inner monologue humorously draws a parallel between Melt and a certain Pretty Cure heroine, referencing her purple theme and her magical light sword. As he spaces out, Melt's voice jolts him back to reality with a mix of urgency and cheerfulness, reminding him to focus on their task of locating the train. Yuugo shakes off his reverie, awkwardly acknowledging her. Melt, ever the enthusiastic partner, takes her role seriously, volunteering to handle the rear guard position while calling him partner. Yuugo, showing his growing adaptability, takes the lead, promising to warn her of any hazards. Their dynamic grows stronger as they head into the tunnel, reflecting an easy camaraderie. The duo spots the magic train at last, its grand structure partially illuminated by the glowing sword ring. Yuugo's relief quickly turns into concern as he realizes something is amiss. He remarks on the eerie silence, noting the absence of voices or any sign of passengers. Melt shares his unease, her sharp intuition raising the question of why the train seems abandoned. The tension builds as they both begin speculating about what could have happened to the crew and passengers. Their expressions reflect the growing mystery, hinting that their quest might take an unexpected turn. Yuugo steps forward cautiously, his demeanor exuding confidence as he assures Melt, "I'll go ahead and check inside. Follow behind me." His firm stance contrasts with Melt's slightly nervous expression as she responds with a soft, "Got it. Be careful, Yuugo." The panel captures a sense of growing tension, especially as Yuugo calls out, "Excuse me, I'm from Luminous Academy. Is anyone here?" The lack of response deepens the mystery surrounding the abandoned train, heightening the suspense. Inside the train, an eerie silence lingers as Yuugo surveys his surroundings with a furrowed brow, muttering, "What's going on? Did everyone abandon the train?" His tense expression betrays his growing unease. Suddenly, a loud thud from outside interrupts his thoughts. Melt has tripped yet again, and this time her skirt flips up, revealing her panties for a split second. Alarmed, Yuugo rushes to the door, calling out, "Melt, are you okay? This is the second time now." Flustered, Melt scrambles to her feet, her face red as she stammers, It's not my fault. The floor's slippery." Meanwhile, Yuugo's armored companion can barely contain their laughter, teasing, "Looks like you've got yourself a clumsy and flashy partner." The moment adds a mix of humor and awkwardness, lightening the tension amidst the unsettling mystery surrounding the abandoned train. The atmosphere shifts dramatically as a commanding voice echoes through the train. Yuugo and Melt both freeze, their expressions sharp with a mix of confusion and apprehension. "That voice?" Yuugo exclaims, his tone laced with tension. The panel shifts to reveal a suave, confident figure stepping into view, his smile sharp and his eyes glinting with a sense of superiority. The mysterious man, dressed in refined attire, casually addresses Yuugo. "I think you two make a great duo, Yuugo Clay," he declares, his words dripping with a blend of admiration and intrigue. The man's posture and tone suggest he knows more than he's letting on, instantly adding a layer of mystery and setting the stage for an intense confrontation or revelation. The chapter opens with the sudden appearance of Marcos Bolg, a flamboyant noble who immediately captures the spotlight with his confident posture and extravagant personality. As Yuugo and Melt react with surprise, Marcos steps forward with a teasing smirk, addressing them with an air of superiority. Melt, caught off guard, refers to him as Crab Noble, a nickname that hilariously encapsulates her impression of his demeanor, leaving Yuugo confused and amused. Marcos, seemingly unfazed by the nickname, comments on the oddity of Yuugo's partner choice and questions his reason for guarding the tunnel. Marcos Bolg starts with a scornful remark, saying, "Also, I can't believe that there's a woman who's willing to team up with you," adding to his string of mockery aimed at Yuugo. Melt, unfazed by his arrogance, stands her ground as Marcos shifts his focus to her. He belittles her clumsy behavior, calling her a country bumpkin, and mocks her for accepting such a trivial quest. Melt's calm defiance speaks volumes as her expression hardens, her sharp gaze cutting through his arrogance. Without missing a beat, she counters with a sarcastic remark, questioning why someone of his supposed high status would take on such a menial task. Then, with a sly smirk, she lands her verbal jab, "Are you having money problems?" Marcos visibly flinches, his smug demeanor cracking as he awkwardly reacts to her bold retort. Melt's fiery wit and unwavering confidence dominate the scene, leaving Marcos momentarily speechless. Marcos defends his circumstances, admitting with visible embarrassment, "My parents found out about my defeat in the duel and took away my allowance. It's no big deal." Melt, on the side, is amusingly distracted, pondering, "Allowance, huh?" with a playful expression, adding a humorous layer to the tension. Yuugo steps in to defuse the situation, firmly saying, "Hey, stop fighting," while shifting the focus to Marcos with a question, "You came from the other end, right? Did you see anyone on your way here?" His tone is practical, attempting to steer the conversation to the pressing issue at hand. Marcos responds seriously, "No, I didn't see anyone," his expression turning thoughtful. Yuugo quickly connects the dots and deduces, "From the way you speak, I guess it was the same for you two." Melt's shock is evident as she processes the revelation, exclaiming, "Every single one of them? They all just disappeared?" Her wide-eyed expression perfectly conveys the growing tension and mystery surrounding the abandoned train. Yuugo and Melt continue their investigation inside the deserted train. Yuugo's observation reveals the train has two entrances, yet neither he nor Marcos encountered anyone along the way, raising the eerie question, did all the passengers on board just vanish like smoke? His puzzled expression reflects his growing unease about the situation. Meanwhile, Marcos dismissively gestures for them to remain silent, his commanding tone reinforcing his belief in his subordinate's ability to resolve the matter. The tension in the scene builds as everyone waits for answers. Yuugo suddenly stops in his tracks, looking alert and serious. He says they should report the situation immediately, his demeanor shifting into one of heightened awareness. Melt, confused and concerned, asks him what's wrong. He replies that he heard a child's voice nearby, his eyes narrowing as he tries to locate the source. This revelation adds an element of suspense, as the group is forced to question what, or who, might still be present in the abandoned train. Marcos dismissively remarks, "It must be your imagination. I didn't hear anything." However, Yuugo, unwavering in his conviction, insists, "No, I'm sure." He abruptly charges forward, declaring, It came from this way. His sudden action surprises Melt, who exclaims, "Ah! Hold on, Yuugo!" She tries to keep pace, concern evident in her voice, as Yuugo rushes toward the mysterious sound. Yuugo bolts out of the train, his eyes scanning the area. He spots a small figure and urgently kneels beside it. Melt catches up, scolding, "Hey, Yuugo, it's dangerous to suddenly rush out like that." Her voice shifts from reprimand to astonishment as she realizes what Yuugo has found. "It's a little girl," she exclaims, her eyes wide with shock. The girl lies motionless, tucked under the train, her presence deepening the mystery of the deserted scene. Yuugo kneels beside the unconscious girl, his determined expression softening as he assesses her condition. "Thank goodness it looks like she's just unconscious," he mutters, relief evident in his tone. Melt, standing nearby, confirms his instincts, commenting on his sharp hearing. A confident smile spreads across Yuugo's face as he declares, "No matter how faint it is, I won't overlook any cries for help. That's what being a hero means." Just as he lifts the girl gently, her eyes snap open in shock, prompting Yuugo to softly ask, "Ah, are you awake now?" The girl awakens in a frenzy, her panic manifesting in cries of "No, no!" as Yuugo tries to calm her down. "Calm down, I'm on your side," he assures her, kneeling to meet her at eye level. Melt joins in, her voice soothing. "It's fine now. Calm down, okay?" Gradually, the girl begins to register their presence, stammering an in response. Yuugo picks up on her name, gently asking, "Yes, that's right. So your name is Mina?" With a mixture of disbelief and hope, Mina asks, "Are you really here to save Mina?" Yuugo reassures her with a warm smile, introducing himself and Melt as her saviors. Yuugo kneels to Mina's level, his tone gentle but urgent. "We heard the train stopped inside the tunnel, so we came here to help," he explains. Mina's eyes widen with emotion as she stammers, "The train! Mama was—" Her words catch in her throat, but she forces them out. "They took away Mama and the others too." Her voice cracks into a sob as she recalls the traumatic event. Yuugo's face hardens with resolve as he leans in closer, asking, "You were on that train, right? Can you tell us what happened?" Mina's answer, trembling and fearful, is clear. "They were taken away by Magai beasts." Yuugo's expression freezes. "Magai beasts," he echoes, the weight of the words sinking in. Melt steps in quickly, her focus shifting to their next steps. "Mina-chan might not feel safe in this kind of place," she notes, her eyes darting around the dark tunnel. "And we should share this information with that Marcos guy, right?" Yuugo nods, glancing back at Mina. "Let's go back to the train," he agrees. Mina, still shaken, nods hesitantly. Yuugo gently reassures her. "Sorry, Mina-chan, but we gotta move. I'll carry you, so hold on tight." He crouches down, offering his back to her, his protective nature shining through in the moment. Melt's urgent voice grabs Yuugo's attention as she exclaims, "Hey, Yuugo, could you take a look at this?" The panel transitions to Yuugo, bending down to inspect something near Mina. His expression shifts to mild confusion as he pulls up a sticky substance from the floor. It's thick and sticky. What's this? A rope?" He mutters aloud, clearly perplexed. "It was attached to Mina-chan's body," Melt explains, her tone tinged with unease. Yuugo's eyes widen slightly as he listens. Mina, standing nearby, fidgets nervously. Melt continues, "I'm not certain, but I think that it might be spider silk." The word spider silk echoes in Yuugo's mind, and he turns to her with disbelief. "Spider silk? Are you saying there's a spider that can make such a ridiculously huge thread?" he blurts out. Melt responds with a grave expression, clarifying, "Not a spider, it's a Magai beast." Her explanation deepens the tension as she elaborates. Monsters born from the souls of deceased monsters possessing other monsters. The imagery of a horrifying, spider-like beast looms over the panel, emphasizing the looming threat ahead. Melt explains with confidence. Beasts that wear monsters as armor, hence they are referred to as Magai beasts. Yuugo listens attentively and confirms his understanding. So you mean a monster made from the fusion of two monsters, huh? As he processes this, Yuugo reflects inwardly, his thoughts racing. I thought that in a world with magic there might be monsters, but I never imagined that there would be monsters just like the villains from tokusatsu shows. Marcos, standing with his subordinate, delivers his findings. Judging from the traces that my subordinate found, this seems to be the work of goblins possessing the power of giant spiders. He glances at Yuugo and Melt, acknowledging their earlier discussion. Just as you guys said, this is an incident related to Magai beasts. Yuugo, curious and slightly skeptical, leans forward and questions Marcos. How did you figure that out? With a calculating tone, Marcos adds his deduction. No matter how much it uses spider silk, one monster cannot abduct all of the passengers alone. Marcos continues his explanation with a confident demeanor. He elaborates. And goblins are the only monsters that move in groups around this area. A grim visualization follows, showing the goblins in hiding, setting traps in the tunnel, and ambushing the passengers. Marcos concludes, in other words, the culprits attacked this train in a group. He adds a chilling detail about the abducted passengers. The reason they took the passengers without killing them was likely to gather provisions and breeding hosts. With a smirk, Marcos speculates. Right now, they're probably transporting the abducted people to their den, and once they return to their nest, that's when the fun begins. Yuugo's expression hardens as he cuts Marcos off abruptly. Stop. That's enough. His tone sharpens as he scolds Marcos. That's not something you say in front of a child whose mother was taken away. Marcos, realizing his mistake, steps back and offers an apology, his voice softening. I'm sorry. That was thoughtless of me. The tension in the air is palpable as the group exchanges glances, the weight of the situation settling in. Melt, determined and concerned, says, Hey, if what Marcos is saying is true, then the kidnapped people might be in danger if we don't hurry up to help them, right? Yuugo, trying to stay rational, replies, There's nothing we can do. Melt counters, We must do something. But Marcos interjects, explaining the harsh reality. Currently, it's impossible to track down the Magai beasts. My subordinate examined the entire train, but the only trace that he could find was this thread. Yuugo takes charge and turns to Melt. Hey, Melt! You tripped around here, right? Melt is startled, responding, Yeah, that's right, but why are you... Ignoring her confusion, Yuugo looks carefully and says, All right, found it. Holding up a discovery, he exclaims, What's this? A liquid? Marcos examines it closely and states with suspicion, It's not water or blood, is it? Melt, looking on with intrigue, remains silent, observing the odd find. Yuugo carefully inspects the strange, sticky liquid he discovered, holding it up for everyone to see. After a moment of thought, he declares, It's oil. He glances at Melt, recalling her earlier comment, and continues, When you tripped, you said that the floor was wet, right? I remembered that and thought to check it out just in case. Connecting the dots further, Yuugo shares his insight. Some species of spiders secrete oil so that their silk doesn't stick to their limbs. The explanation leaves Melt surprised yet impressed. Realizing her earlier mishap had a purpose, she exclaims with a smile, I see. So my clumsiness gave you a spark of inspiration. With renewed determination, Yuugo shifts gears, proposing, Anyway, let's follow this oil. However, his plan doesn't stop there. Looking at Mina-chan, he adds with a sense of responsibility. And also, one of us should go out of the tunnel with Mina-chan and contact the station. This dual approach sets the group into action, combining their efforts to solve the mystery and ensure the girl's safety. Marcos, observing Yuugo's quick thinking, joins the discussion, though not without his usual smug attitude. With a sly grin, he remarks, "Ha! It's irritating being ordered by you," before softening his stance. "But since you're the one that found a trail to follow, I'll follow your lead," he admits, acknowledging Yuugo's initiative. Turning to his subordinate, Marcos issues a directive. "Take the little girl outside the tunnel and report the situation." His tone then shifts, taking on a more gentlemanly air. "She's a lady, so treat her with utmost courtesy," he emphasizes, his voice carrying a mix of charm and authority. Mina-chan, still nervous but seemingly comforted by their assurances, looks up with quiet determination. Her wide eyes hint at both fear and trust as the group solidifies their roles in tackling the situation ahead. Marcos's leadership, combined with Yuugo's discovery, sets the team in motion, each playing their part to unravel the mystery and rescue the missing passengers. Yuugo exudes determination as he reassures Mina, "Don't you worry. I'll definitely bring your mom back." His tone carries an air of confidence, aiming to inspire hope in the young girl. Then, with a gentle yet firm request, he continues, "Could you please wait outside for a little while until then?" His sincere expression underscores his commitment to fulfilling his promise. Mina hesitantly nods and responds, "Okay. Please be careful, Oni-chan," her voice filled with a mix of fear and trust. As Yuugo and his companions step forward, Melt's resolve shines through. She confidently declares, "We'll rescue the kidnapped people without a single casualty." The panel emphasizes their unity and determination as they stride ahead, with each member displaying a serious, battle-ready demeanor, promising that their mission will be executed with precision and care. The group arrives at what appears to be the den of the Magai beasts. Yuugo, cautiously observing their surroundings, notes, "Melt, looks like we're here. This must be the den of the Magai beasts." They notice the kidnapped passengers wrapped in webbing, seemingly unharmed. Melt adds, "For now, there seems to be one over there. Is it on lookout duty?" Meanwhile, Yuugo, concerned, wonders, "What about the Magai beasts? Where are they?" Their eyes scan the eerie cave as the unsettling realization dawns. As the tension builds, the group encounters a grotesque figure, a massive goblin fused with spider-like features. Its multiple eyes and web-covered body exude menace as its monstrous form crawls into view. Yuugo, taken aback, remarks, "Whoa, whoa! That's not a man-spider, that's a goblin spider." Melt, analyzing the creature, acknowledges its unnerving appearance. It's quite creepy. The grotesque fusion of creatures confirms the Magai beast's horrifying nature, setting the stage for an intense confrontation. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on our next exciting recap. New videos will be dropped, so stay tuned.